good morning. Let me start with a bold question. What if 2026 arrives and nothing has changed in your life? Not because nothing could, but because you didn't. We live in a world of potential, not perfection. Every single person listening to this has within them untapped strength, untested courage, and unused capacity. But most people will sleepwalk through the rest of this year, clinging to routines that make them feel safe, comfortable, and average. Let me be clear. The clock is not slowing down. The world will not wait for you to feel ready. If you want 2026 to be different, more focused, more fulfilling, more purpose driven, you must choose change before the year begins. And I'm not here to talk about motivation for the sake of noise. I'm here to challenge you to do 5 specific, powerful things that will redefine your direction before the next chapter begins. 1. Reflect relentlessly before 2026. Set aside time to reflect, not just casually, but courageously. Look back on your decisions, habits, relationships, and moments of hesitation. Ask yourself not what went wrong, but what patterns you've accepted as permanent. We cannot change what we're unwilling to confront. Growth doesn't begin with strategy. It begins with honesty. If you don't know who you've been, how can you decide who you want to become? 2. Define what success actually means to you. If your goals don't align with your values, you will succeed in all the wrong things. Before 2026, take the time to redefine what success actually looks like for you, not your parents, not your boss, not the internet. When you clarify your values, you stop chasing noise and start pursuing meaning. That's where fulfillment lives. Remember this: direction is more important than speed. And no matter how fast you run, if you're running toward the wrong thing, you'll still feel empty when you arrive. 3. Cut the dead weight. Let's talk truth. Some of what you're carrying can't go with you into 2026. That includes toxic relationships, outdated beliefs, worn out excuses, and that voice in your head that says, maybe next year. You don't need more time. You need more clarity. And clarity comes when you clean house. If you're brave enough to let go of what drains you, you create space for what drives you. 4. Commit to one hard thing. Before 2026, choose one hard thing and commit to it like your life depends on it. It could be waking up earlier, launching a side business, writing the first chapter, running that marathon. You don't need 100 goals. You need one pursued with deep resolve. Discipline is built through focus, not scattered ambition. Start with one hard thing and let that be the foundation for everything else. 5. Surround yourself with fire. No one grows in isolation. The people around you are either lighting you up or burning you out. Before the new year begins, audit your circle. Are they pushing you forward or pulling you back? Get around people who challenge your comfort zone, who celebrate your potential more than your past, who call you up, not just out. The right environment doesn't just change your mood, it changes your destiny. Most people live their lives on autopilot, waking up each day with the same routine, the same thoughts, the same doubts, and the same excuses. They move through time as if it owes them something, as if one day success, purpose, and fulfillment will magically arrive without any deliberate action. But here's the truth. If you don't pause and reflect intentionally, you'll keep repeating the same cycles that have held you back. Reflection isn't about reliving the past with guilt or regret. It's about studying your journey with honesty, curiosity, and courage. It's about looking at your life with open eyes and asking the hard questions. Who have I become? What have I tolerated that I shouldn't have? Where did I show up fully? And where did I play small? The truth is, too many people are afraid of sitting alone with their thoughts. They're afraid of what they might realize if they actually examined their decisions, their patterns, their habits. But growth never comes from distraction. It comes from awareness. And awareness only comes from intentional reflection. Take inventory of your mindset, your beliefs, your reactions. What habits have you normalized that no longer serve your future? What limiting thoughts have you believed for so long that you now mistake them as facts? You cannot transform what you refuse to confront. You cannot move forward with clarity if you're still denying the things you need to release. Every great leader, innovator, and high achiever has one thing in common: they reflect. They don't just celebrate their wins. They study their failures. They take time to understand why they made certain decisions, where their emotions led them, what triggered their fears, and what inspired their courage. This kind of reflection creates alignment. And alignment creates momentum. When you truly understand your own patterns. You're no longer a slave to them. You become the architect of your choices, the author of your future. Reflection isn't just about your past. It's about protecting your future. Because without reflection, you risk waking up in a few months or a few years, stuck in the same place, feeling the same frustrations, battling the same insecurities, wondering why nothing has changed. The problem isn't that time failed you. The problem is that you didn't take the time to examine how you were showing up in your own life. You didn't evaluate your standards, your energy, your intentions. And so the same old story keeps repeating itself, dressed up in new circumstances. If you want to level up in 2026, you can't carry forward blind spots disguised as strengths. You need to become brutally honest with yourself. What worked? What didn't? What distracted you? What did you avoid? What did you procrastinate on not because it was difficult, but because deep down you feared being seen, being vulnerable, or even being powerful? When you reflect with depth, you give yourself the gift of direction. You stop reacting to life and start designing it. You stop drifting and you start driving. This is where clarity lives. This is where the fog begins to lift. This is where ownership begins. Success is one of the most misused and misunderstood words in the modern world. From the moment we're old enough to walk, we're given subtle and not so subtle messages about what it means to be successful. It's the big house, the six-figure salary, the prestigious title, the admiration of others, the curated life on social media that looks perfect from the outside. But here's the reality. Many people achieve these things and still feel empty, lost, unfulfilled. Why? Because they climbed a ladder that wasn't leaning on the right wall. They pursued goals that didn't reflect who they are at their core. They lived up to someone else's definition of success and ignored their own. Before you step into 2026, you must define clearly, courageously, unapologetically what success means to you. Not the version you think will impress your peers or make your parents proud. Not the version that sounds good on paper, but drains your soul in practice. The version of success that lights you up when no one's watching. The version that aligns with your values, your purpose, your energy. Because if your success isn't tied to your authenticity, it will always feel hollow, no matter how many achievements you collect. This takes more than a vision board or a journal prompt. It requires deep internal clarity. You have to ask yourself the hard questions. What kind of life do I want to wake up to? What does peace look like for me? What does purpose look like in action? Where does my joy actually live? And am I giving myself permission to pursue it? Too many people spend years chasing things they never truly wanted, only to arrive and wonder why it doesn't feel the way they thought it would. They confuse business with progress, popularity with significance, attention with love. The truth is, success isn't a finish line. It's a state of alignment. When your actions reflect your priorities, when your energy reflects your truth, when your goals reflect your passion, that is real success. It might not look flashy. It might not get applause, but it will give you something much more valuable of inner fulfillment. And that's something external validation can never give you. Success is also seasonal. What felt right 5 years ago might no longer serve you. What inspired you last year may now feel like a cage. And that's okay. Redefining success isn't failure, it's growth. It's recognizing that as you evolve, your vision must evolve with you. That's not being inconsistent. That's being in integrity with your own becoming. And you owe that honesty to yourself. When you stop chasing someone else's version of success, you free yourself to create a life that's rooted in meaning, not metrics. You stop measuring yourself against timelines that don't belong to you. You start creating a rhythm that supports your well-being, your creativity, your mission. You move from striving to living, from proving to expressing. And in that space, you don't just achieve success. You embody it. There comes a point in every person's journey when they must confront what's holding them back, not just what they're striving toward. Progress isn't always about adding more goals, more pressure, more responsibilities. Sometimes the most powerful transformation begins with subtraction. Cutting the dead weight is not a ruthless act, it's a necessary act of self-respect. We all carry things. Habits, relationships, beliefs, distractions that once served a purpose, but have now become anchors. These are the things that quietly drain your energy, cloud your clarity, and limit your potential. And unless you consciously let them go, they will travel with you into every new season, disguising themselves as just the way life is. It might be the toxic friendship that you keep entertaining out of obligation. It might be the draining job you stay at because of fear. It might be the habit of procrastination disguised as perfectionism that keeps you from starting the very thing that could change your life. It might be the internal story you've been repeating to yourself for years. I'm not good enough. I'm too late. I always mess things up. These narratives are not facts. They're decisions. And every day you choose, keep carrying them, is another day you delay your breakthrough. Cutting the dead weight starts with a brutally honest audit. What is taking up space in your life that no longer adds value? What are you tolerating simply because it's familiar? What have you normalized that deep down you know is breaking you, not building you? If you want to fly, you can't keep loading your wings with unnecessary weight. Clarity doesn't come from clutter. It comes from cleaning house. Mentally, emotionally, physically, and even spiritually. This process is not easy. It requires discomfort. It requires saying no. It requires disappointing others at times in order to honor your own growth. You will have moments where the familiar feels safer than the unknown. You will doubt yourself. You'll wonder if you're being too harsh or too selfish. But remind yourself keeping people, patterns, and priorities in your life that diminish you isn't kindness. It's self-neglect. And the longer you hold on, the harder it becomes to recognize the freedom that's waiting on the other side of release. Letting go doesn't mean erasing your past. It means recognizing when something has finished teaching you what it came to teach. And then, instead of clinging to it out of fear, you thank it, release it, and step forward lighter, stronger, clearer. The most powerful breakthroughs often begin the moment you decide to stop carrying what was never yours to hold forever. Sometimes your next level isn't about what you need to learn. It's about what you're finally willing to let go of. You don't need to drag broken habits, worn out relationships, outdated beliefs, or draining environments into the new year. The people who are meant to be part of your future will respect your growth. The habits that align with your vision will support your rise. And the clarity you gain from cutting the dead weight will give you the energy, focus, and freedom to build something that truly reflects the person you're becoming. In a world obsessed with multitasking, speed, and endless ambition, we often forget the power of doing one thing with full commitment. Everyone wants to change everything all at once. Start 5 new habits. Read 10 books a month. Launch a business. Transform their body. Fix their relationships. And still find time to meditate for an hour every day. But here's the truth most people overlook. As you don't need to do everything. You just need to do one hard thing well. Daf, there is something profound and life-altering about choosing one bold, difficult goal and giving it your complete focus, attention, and energy. That kind of commitment doesn't just build results. It builds character. Doing one hard thing trains your mind to stay present in the process rather than becoming addicted to outcomes. It pulls you out of distraction and into discipline. It forces you to confront your excuses, your resistance, your inner critic. It teaches you how to stay when things get uncomfortable instead of running back to comfort and chaos. It builds resilience, not just because you get stronger with each step, but because you become someone who shows up even when it's hard, even when motivation fades, even when no one is clapping for you. And that kind of consistency is a rare and powerful force. Choosing one hard thing also teaches you to appreciate depth over surface. We live in an era of shallow efforts and scattered attention. Everyone's trying a little bit of everything, hoping that something sticks. But when you go deep into one challenge, when you give it your undivided commitment, you start to uncover layers of strength, creativity, and determination you didn't know you had. You stop quitting when it's difficult because you're no longer addicted to the easy path. You learn to face resistance without retreating. You learn to fall and rise again, not because it's easy, but because you've decided this thing matters that much. It could be anything that forces you to grow. Waking up at 5 a.m. Every day, training for a marathon, building a new skill, writing a book, starting a business, or giving up a comfort that no longer serves you. The power isn't in what you choose. It's in how fully you commit to it. Because when you take on one hard thing with relentless discipline, it creates a ripple effect. It begins to shape your identity. You begin to see yourself differently. Not as someone who dreams, but as someone who follows through. That shift in identity is the foundation of every transformation that lasts. Hard things aren't there to break you. They're there to reveal you. They expose the gap between who you've been and who you're capable of becoming. And when you stop avoiding the difficult path and start embracing it, you stop negotiating with your potential. You stop waiting for permission, and you start earning your progress through consistent, courageous action. There's nothing more empowering than keeping a promise to yourself when no one else is watching. That's how trust is built. That's how growth is earned. That's how change becomes permanent. We often talk about goals, mindset, motivation, and habits, but one of the most underestimated forces that will either elevate your life or quietly sabotage it is your environment. Specifically, the people you surround yourself with. Human beings are social creatures. Whether we admit it or not, we are influenced deeply by the energy, expectations, and attitudes of those closest to us. You can have the clearest vision, the strongest ambition, and the deepest desire for change. But if the people in your circle don't reflect that same hunger for growth, your momentum will suffer. Energy is contagious, and if your circle is filled with doubt, fear, mediocrity, or passive negativity, you will absorb that, even unconsciously. The people you surround yourself with are either lighting a fire in you or extinguishing the one you already have. Take a look around and ask yourself, who challenges me to grow? Who celebrates my wins without jealousy? Who encourages me when I fall? Who makes me feel like I can dream bigger, not smaller? If you hesitate to answer, that's a signal. We've been conditioned to believe that loyalty means never outgrowing anyone. But real loyalty starts with being loyal to your future, not your past. It's not about cutting people off with cruelty. It's about choosing people with intention. Because your environment shapes your standards, your vision, and your level of belief in what's possible. You need people in your life who call you out and call you up. People who don't let you stay small just because it's comfortable. People who remind you of who you said you wanted to become on the days when you feel like giving up. You need voices around you that normalize excellence, consistency, and discipline, not distraction, excuses, and compromise. One conversation with the right person can shift your perspective. One honest piece of feedback can change the direction of your life. One person who believes in you at the right moment can be the difference between quitting and pushing through. Surrounding yourself with fire doesn't mean finding perfect people. It means finding people who are also on the path. People who are willing to do the work, face their own demons, grow through discomfort, and push their own limits. People who are more interested in progress than pretending. It means building relationships that are rooted in mutual respect, shared values, and a desire to see each other win, not just in one area of life, but in every area. When you align yourself with people who are also building something meaningful, the weight of your journey feels lighter. Your ambition feels less lonely. Your vision feels less far-fetched. You start to realize that who you become isn't just shaped by what you do, but by who you do life with. Because when you're surrounded by people who are on fire, you can't help but start to burn brighter. Their focus ignites yours. Their courage strengthens yours. Their belief multiplies yours. And that kind of energy, the kind that lifts, sharpens, and propels you forward, is one of the most powerful success tools you'll ever have access to. There's a lie that far too many people believe, and it's this: I'll start when I'm ready. They wait for clarity, wait for confidence, wait for the perfect moment, the right season, the guaranteed result. But the truth is, waiting doesn't bring readiness. Action does. The difference between those who grow and those who stay stuck isn't intelligence, talent, or even opportunity. It's movement. It's that one group took the first step even while shaking, even while uncertain, even while unprepared. The other group kept making plans and waiting for certainty to knock at their door. And guess what? It never did. You don't need another motivational video, another pep talk, another perfectly organized calendar before you begin. What you need is to break the cycle of delay by deciding. You must decide that your future is worth risking your comfort. Because every single day you delay, every single hour you hesitate, you're trading progress for perfectionism. And perfection is nothing but fear wearing a fancy mask. People don't fail because they started too early. They fail because they've never started at all. Taking action now doesn't mean you won't make mistakes. You will. you'll fumble. You'll question yourself. You'll face resistance. But that resistance is a sign you're doing something real. Resistance only shows up when progress begins. It's proof that you're stepping outside the borders of your old self. And the only way to get stronger, wiser, and more capable is to engage with that resistance, not avoid it. Most breakthroughs don't happen in the planning stage. They happen in the messy, uncomfortable, uncertain grind of doing. You gain clarity by walking through the fog, not by standing still, hoping it clears. You don't learn the truth about yourself on the sidelines. You learn it on the field. When you fall, when you rise, when you try again. Growth is not a spectator sport. You have to get in the arena and get your hands dirty. And here's the irony. What you think you lack right now, you will find Vav on the path. Confidence. It comes from repetition. Direction. It comes from experience. Strength. It comes from resistance. You can't acquire these things before you move. You acquire them by moving. The fastest way to build momentum is to start where you are with what you have and trust that the rest will meet you on the journey. Don't underestimate the compound power of small, consistent action. It may not be glamorous, but it's transformational. Your goals, your dreams, your next level, they are not waiting for more preparation. They are waiting for more courage. The kind of courage that stops overthinking and starts executing. The kind of courage that shows up today, not someday. Because someday is not a date on the calendar. It's a graveyard for dreams. The people who achieve the extraordinary aren't superhuman. They're simply those who started when others waited. They got up one day, just like this, and chose to act. Not later. Not next year. Not when it felt easy. But now.